continue the series of inputs from E to E analysis for the budding engineers who are coming and out and going for a startup. It is very important for them to understand the logic of their career, but the most important is that one needs to have to carry a positive frame of mind, and in order to get the success guaranteed. Being a human being, we are very vulnerable of going negative, and we always think of the negative first rather than think about the positives. Be it an Indian or any human being, we take the assumptions first that if I will do this, this will happen, if I will do that, that will happen, and that preoccupy our mindset, which basically impact our decision making process. And the presumptions can be a positive side as well as on the negative side. So it can be of a two side, is the positive side and the negative side. The positive side gives you the positive impact to initiate any processes or any work, whereas the negative assumptions always takes you into depression. As you must be aware that around 3 people out of the 7 people in India going through the depression, and most of them comes from the professionalism group, and the major depression domain is the female sector, female gender, right? And in order to be successful and to keep the positive frame of mind, you need to have a very good communication skills. When I go for say communication skills, it's not important that you need to be very good in English, which is again a perception or an assumption of an Indian who thinks that whoever knows English will be successful, and who don't know English will be met with the failure. But when I say that the communication, we as an Indian are very good in giving suggestion without asking for it. You go somewhere, you give and you talk about your problem, and people will start jumping and giving you a suggestion. And the best thing, what you can consider an example as an Indian parliament. When the opposition sits in the government chair, they talk differently, and when they rule for 10 years and they go in the opposition, they just talk reverse, and they contradict themselves. But at the same time, anyone can be successful if they follow the 3 pillars of the communication. You should be a good listener. If somebody is talking, one should have the courtesy to let the other side talk their brain before you jump in. But we as a human have a tendency that the moment someone starts talking, we think that we know about it, and the other side is giving you the lecture. The way you must be thinking that I'm giving you the lecture. And till the time you don't know how to say I don't know, it's in a human nature, be it in India, Europe or in the US, you always get unconditional support. So this unconditional support, will give you an opportunity to implement your listening power, and that is going to help you to implement, and that ultimately leads you to the better interactive person. If you are an interactive person, then are you open for a suggestion? So if any human being who is having a guts to say I don't know, I'm sorry, and they talk their brain, they always take suggestion in the positive aspect. Once you take these 4 pillars into the consideration, it will motivate you from inside to make an effort. When you make an effort, you will of course get a setback. And human being generally takes the setback with a negative assumption. But here there are certain things you need to remember. And I will come back to this part, in the later half of my discussion. But being in a human, being in a professional, being in a family guy, or be it he or she, you should not forget your bad times. What happens that we generally move on with the life. We think that it happened. I had a bad phase. I had a bad finance. Today I am earning, and why I should remember that? Because it is bothering you. But as I said, the remembering of these bad times will always keep you alert that it should not happen again. That will motivate you to implement these 4 pillars of be clear. You can say sorry, you can say I don't know, and you are open to a suggestion that will improve your assumption part, which the sixth sense of your brain works, and then it will give you the major thrust that you will start thinking that I will not surrender, because I know that if I can listen, if I can implement, it will give me the better interactive power, and ultimately what others are saying is saying for the betterment of my professional and the personal life. But for very basic part of the life is that, being in a human, we always tend to go on in a depression for a small setbacks, be it in a financial, be it anything else. So start loving yourself. If you don't love yourself, your brain will always give you the negative assumptions. If your brain will give you the negative assumptions, your communication, in which the listening capability will go negative. If that will go negative, your implementation power will go negative. If your implementation power will go negative, you will always talk negative. If you will always talk negative, you will always shy away from the society. You will never say sorry. You will always give excuses. You will never say I don't know. You will always try to give an answer, and you will be never open to a suggestion. That will lead to a situation where you will confine to yourself rather than be open for an effort. The second point is that you make an effort. On the other side, if you appreciate yourself for the small learning you do, be it a gardening, be it cooking, be it writing on a small article, whether it's correct or not, you made an attempt. When you made an attempt, then you should think that if I will keep on trying, God only helps those who wants to help themselves, and that will motivate you. So the third one is, every evening you sit down, and I wrote an article on my blog site, www.technology-strategy.blogspot.com, that what you gained and what you lost. We as a human, as I said, that our life is based on the assumptions. If we are non-partial in doing our own introspection and say that, okay, today I gained X and today I gained Y, and today I lost 1, 2, 3. If you can analyze this, you can always go to your seniors, you can always go to your family member, you can always go to your elders, friends, and you can clearly communicate that, look man, I'm having XYZ problem, I'm not able to gain on that, but I'm losing that, and what are the suggestions you have, so that I start making an effort, and ultimately I go for a next level of peace. Learn from others. I had a very good experience I used to be smoking a lot, and I went to Denmark. Being an Indian, we throw things here and there all the time. We don't care. We think that it's a government job to clean the street and everything. And I was like that, 70 years back. I went to Denmark, Aalborg, and I bought on a cigarette. I opened the pack and I threw it on the road, and there was a baby of an age of around 3.5 or 4 years. She picked that wrapper, she smiled at it, and she put that in a garbage. This is what the learning I learned, and from that onwards, now 17 years, I never did that. And that is very important. Whether you are learning from seniors, juniors, relatives, kids, is very important that you learn from others. The day you close your brain for the learning with the positive frame of the mind, you are going for a disaster. On the contrary, if you implement that, okay, I can learn from others, then you are going for a kill. The last one is that stay away from the argument. What happens is that being a human, we tend to argue, and why we tend to argue? Because we always think that whatever I think is always correct, and whatever the other thinks is always wrong. Because that indicates that we have a negative assumptions already preoccupying our mindset. And please don't do that, because by doing an argument, we are gonna to kill yourself, because you will lose the capability of a good listener. If you are not a good listener, you cannot implement it. If you cannot implement it, your negative thought process will always impact your interaction, which will lead you to the negative aspect. But on the contrary, you need to do 3 to 4 things. And the first thing is the communication. If you will improve on the communication, and I'm not saying that you should be very good in English, if you know Hindi or if you know Dutch, German, and that's what I learned, that the Danish people or the Swedish or Finnish or German, they love their language. Even though they know English, they prefer to talk in their their local language, because they love their language, because they are more expressive. So even though you know Hindi or Gujarati or Marathi, you talk in that language, but when you talk, try to implement that you are a good listener. And if you will do that, it will have a cascading impact on your behavioral pattern, and you will always tend to think that, okay, I failed, but I tried. Okay, I am not succeeding right now, but I am trying. Okay, I am not clear about it, but I can go to XYZ and I can get my knowledge enhanced. And don't think that you are elder or younger, you are a kid or a dad, or whether you are going to your wife or your kid or your relatives or your friends or your boss or your mentor. This is the changing strategy of your life. Any human can do anything, provided they control the assumption aspect of your brain and be positive in your assumptions and be a good listener and try to implement, try to learn from others, try to love yourself, try to appreciate yourself, and try out before making an opinion about your assumptions. Thank you.